Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 12th and final round.
Right hand, Golovkin steps in and down he goes again. Unbelievable. Mayweather makes him pay. What a rookie mistake. A sensational left hook by De La Hoya.
It's fact. I'm the best. You know what I mean? Sometimes I don't want to believe it myself, but it's the truth. I'm the best. I'm going to show you how great I am.
From Southern California, this is the Last Round Podcast.
Episode 14, Mike. Episode 14 of the Last Round Podcast. I'm Danny Z. Michael Shepard. Across the way for me. How's it going?
Good. Another busy week.
Another busy week, I guess.
Another busy week. We see that every week, it seems.
And it's December, too. You would think it would slow down for the holidays, but it doesn't.
No, 3 cards this weekend.
3 cars. The Charlo brothers this weekend. Frampton, Warrington. It doesn't end. Right before Christmas. Weekend of Christmas, actually.
Yeah,
at least over here in the States. Holidays. But, like I said, episode 14 of the Last Round. So we'll jump right into it. The fight review from last Saturday, December 14th, from the American Bank Center in Corpus Christi, Texas, on ESPN Plus. That's the app, not ESPN, the channel. It was the app, right? Super middleweight champion Gilberto Ramirez retains his title in a majority decision win for the second time, actually, against Jesse Hart. Retains his WBO super middleweight title. This is the second time they fought. The first time they fought, it was an entertaining fight, and obviously this one it was competitive. I appreciated both fights. And then Ramirez at the end of the fight says he's moving up to 175. Man, what did he do at 168 for 2 years?
Yeah, it seems like he was kind of kept away from all the big fights. This was a good fight, though, like you said. The first one and the second one, I think it's just one of those pairings where I think those two could keep fighting and they were always going to be a good fight, clash of styles. I thought he just edged it, though, over the 12 rounds. He got a majority decision.
Right.
Moved him on to 39-0, 25 KOs. But like you say, so far, his resume to me hasn't really got any huge names jumping off there with, somebody having nearly 40 fights.
No. It's like, he announced he was moving up to 175. He's like, I'm done at 168. I was like, what? You had the belt for like 2 years. Who did... You did, yeah. I don't know. I get it. There's politics and stuff, but it's just like, come on, man. Like, there was guys out there who you could have tried to fight. There was like the Gale. I think Badu Jack was still at 168 at one time, and then who else was at 168?
Callum Smith would have been one.
Smith,
the English.
There was potentials out there, but
Jose was category.
Yeah, I know they're all PBC guys, Heyman guys. I get it. And then the promotional negotiations across the lines like that doesn't really work, especially for Top Rank. But I like Ramirez. I think he's good. He does have talent, but he hasn't proved anything to me yet. Like we need to see him against top level guys.
And the thing is, I think if he moves up, to me, like going up the weight category, he's got Alvarez, Bivol, Badu Jack, Kovalev, Atabetabayev.
He's that division's pretty competitive right now.
I don't see him beating any of those.
I don't actually. I like him and Bivol against each other. I think that should be a fun fight, but I think Bivol beats him.
Yeah, I totally agree because the other guys I think will blow him out.
I think Ramirez beats Kovalev. I think Kovalev's done.
I think we'll see. He looked done in the last fight.
Yeah, he did, but
obviously against Ward as well, he looks a little bit done. But I'm thinking maybe a change of trainer might brighten him up. Hopefully give him like another lease of life.
Who, Kovalev?
Yeah.
Did he switch trainers?
He switched trainers. He's with Buddy McGirt now, I believe.
Oh, that's right. I did read that.
Yeah. He's with him now. So
he went from John David Jackson to Buddy McGirt.
See if he can
all that drama.
Whip him into shape like he did to Gatti back in the day.
Yeah.
When Gatti came back.
Yeah, that's true.
So hopefully, he can do the same to Kovalev.
He's looking for that spark.
Exactly. Hopefully it works because Kovalev, he was always one of those exciting fighters. He went in there and he would try and get people out of there.
Man, Kovalev, like, for one time or another a couple years ago was like the boogeyman of the light heavyweight division and top 2-3 pound for pound best fighters in the world. And then he ran into Ward, and Ward kind of, do you want to say exposed? But, Ward kind of broke him down, I think, mentally, especially in the second fight. And then he loses to Alvarez. He gets stopped by Alvarez, like, pretty badly. And then, you know, he's like the only type of moneymaker for main events for Kathy Duva. So, of course, they're going to try to make that fight again. So, I mean, Kovalev is the cash cow for main events. So, they're going to try to – that's what they made that fight again for him against Alvarez. But, you know, that's going on. We'll talk about that as that fight comes closer next month, which I think it is next month. Or is it February? I think it's next month. But yeah, Ramirez, of course, retains his title. So he did announce his intention to move up to 175. So I'm assuming he's just going to relinquish his WBO super middleweight title. So that'll make it vacant. I mean, like you said, if he's going to move up to 175, like, he's going to have to fight. I'm assuming the first fight at 175 is just going to be against somebody like, just to get his body used to the division and everything. And it's just like, no, I don't think he needs that. I think he can go straight into it. Like, you know, fight a top level guy or something like that.
Yeah, normally.
Even like a Sullivan Barrera or something like that.
Yeah, he could go in there and he'd fight, you know, one of the lower.
Like Sullivan Barrera is pretty solid.
Yeah, Sullivan Barrera would be a good fight. You know, he's only really had that recent loss to Bivol. Then obviously Andre Ward, so he's only lost to the bigger names in that division.
Yeah,
really. So, obviously, he had a recent victory over Sean Monahan, so he's back in the win column. So, I mean, that would be an interesting fight for me. And I'm sure, you know, being a title holder, the WBO would maybe let him move up and fight somebody in that division.
Is there any UK guys at 175?
UK, we've got Anthony Yard.
Okay.
Callum Johnson, who was
he fought
Beterbiev.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, and Callum Johnson's obviously is a DAZN fighter.
Okay. And of course, Ramirez is an ESPN fighter with Top Rank right now.
So that'll probably be a bit of a crossover. Anthony Yard, though, he's a Frank Warren fighter, so that would be an option because Frank Warren seemed to be teaming up with Top Rank.
That's true. Yeah.
So Anthony Yard, but that would be a hard fight for him to step up. Anthony Yard's, he's a big guy. He's a powerful guy.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
You know, Ramirez wasn't really blowing guys out very easily in that division.
He wasn't. In 168, he wasn't blowing guys out.
No, so the step up, is he going to carry the power up?
These guys at 175 have, like, that's when, like, there's a really big difference in power. Even with guys like Kovalev, hasn't looked the same since he did, like, 4 years ago. He still has ridiculous power. Like, you're right. I mean, it wasn't like he was, like, dropping guys within 4 rounds at 168. And if he's moving up to 175 against guys like Bivol, Kovalev, Alvarez, Beterbiev, and stuff like that, I don't know, man. That punch is packed harder up there at 175. I know it's only, 7 pounds, but that's a big 7 pounds.
He's got 1 KO since 2014.
Holy crap, really?
Yeah.
Holy crap. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I don't know. I think he had mentioned leading up to the fight last week, like, oh yeah, I think they touched on Canelo because, you know, Canelo just fought on 168. We'll touch on that a little bit later in the show, but you know, Ramirez 6'2", fighting at 168, and he's like, oh yeah, the Battle of Mexico between both. I mean, yeah, it probably would sell pretty well, especially to the Mexicans, but that fight never happened. But, you know, it's good to throw your name in the hat, like, oh, well, he's fighting at 168, so how come he doesn't fight me?
You're looking for that payday.
Yeah, so, but we'll see. Moving on that card, Michaela Mayer improves to 9-0 with the unanimous decision against Calista Salgado. This was for the NABF Super Featherweight title. You know, women's boxing it's coming to the forefront, man. I feel like every card now has at least one female fight that's, like, broadcasted now.
Yeah, it seems to be they're pushing it that way. You know, most of the big cards will try and get the women on there. But to me, it still seems, I think they need to still go to the 3-minute rounds.
Yeah.
Because it seems to me that the rounds, there's
they
not
go too fast.
They go over too quickly. You know, that doesn't give them chance to, you know, to feel each other out, get some shots in there. Doesn't give the women chance to actually get tired so they can take each other out. It seems like most fights that we see they're going either the full 8 rounds, the 10 rounds, the 12 rounds, whatever they're set for.
Yeah.
You know, people really tune in, especially the casual fans. You tune in there to see a KO.
Right.
You know, not everybody is, you know, as a boxing nerd like us, where we sit there and we like the fancy styles, the southpaw, the slickness, the defensiveness. They just go in there. They just want to see people go in there and just knock each other out.
Yeah.
So I think they need to do something. I think the 3-minute rounds and maybe even stretching them out to eventually go into 12 threes.
Yeah,
like the men.
They might. I mean, I don't know. Let's see if Chris Cyborg from the UFC actually comes into the boxing world next year. You never know. She could be the saving grace, where she's the knockout artist. You never know.
Well, yeah, it's like when we had Sanisha in here. And her dad was saying, they get kicked in the head.
Yeah.
In the UFC, well, in MMA in general.
Yeah.
So why can't they do 3-minute rounds?
Oh yeah, he's right.
If that's one of the reasons they were saying.
I mean, there's technique behind boxing, of course. Like obviously you saw with McGregor and Mayweather, but I mean, you're right though. Like they can hang just enough. So if you got the talent, especially if you're talented in MMA, and there's enough crossover for you to jump over. So I get it. And then friend of the show, Jamel Herring, improves to 19-2 with the unanimous decision over Adalison. How do you say that? Dos Santos, something like that. That was also on the card on ESPN Plus. So we want to send out congratulations to him. He always supports the show on social media and everything. We'll try to get him on the show one day or get him to call in. That way you can find out some more about his career and what's upcoming. So big shout out to him. Did you catch that fight?
Yeah, it was a good fight. Kind of like a little tick over really for Jamal. I thought onto bigger and better things next year after speaking to him on social media. He's going to be coming over to actually this way to LA. He's hoping to fight in this area sometime next year on one of the big top rank cards.
Yeah.
So I can see big things for him. He's got a good backstory. Obviously been in the Marines and stuff like that. So
he's got a story, man.
Yeah, he'd be great to get on the show. Hopefully, when he comes over to California, we could get him in the studio.
Yeah. Yeah. You hear that? So if you're hearing Jamel, look, when you're in California, Southern California especially, hit us up. We'll get you in the studio, get you on the show. And then moving on to Saturday, December 15th at the Mecca of boxing, MSG, Madison Square Garden from New York City, on the new player in town, DAZN. Saul Canelo Alvarez makes his debut on his new platform. I was going to say network. It's not even network. It's a streaming platform. Just demolishes 6'1" Rocky Fielding, who had no business to be in there. I mean, I get why they made the fight, but man, he was knocked down 4 times in 3 rounds, and the fourth time was the end. Man, what happened? What happened?
I know. It's one of those where people kind of, before the fight, everyone was kind of saying, that Rocky had kind of sold his title to Canelo. He knew that he was going to get a big payday. The only chance he really had was, he was noticeably taller, the bigger reach and everything like that over Canelo. But the weird thing was, he kind of fought small. You don't think he kind of like made himself small and tried to actually fight on the inside.
I noticed that he tried to fight on the inside, but there was times where he was trying to use his length, but he was getting hit in the body so many times by Canelo.
Yeah, he was covering up.
He was covering up, so his body naturally goes down, and Canelo was bringing him to his level.
Yeah.
So, but there was times where he was trying to use his height, but Canelo was just hitting that body to the point where he had to like crouch down to try to block those shots. So he was always in like that automatic position, and he came back down to Canelo's level, and then Canelo just wailed on him.
You could tell from early on that Canelo had obviously seen, like, Rocky's so much taller than me. He's got a big torso, that he literally just threw body shots from the off.
Oh yeah, I think it was like the first minute and a half where he knocked him down.
Yeah, he just went in there. They were nice though. Those body shots were nice.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Those are some of the best body shots I've seen all year.
He was just setting them up really, really sweet. Just throwing out the jab and then just boom.
Do you think that Canelo's a better body puncher now than Gennady Golovkin?
Oof, that's a question.
That's a question, right?
The thing is, though, we've just seen the Rocky Fielding fight, and I've just watched it. So in my head,
just like thinking about, I could see his technique and everything. Like, the reason why I said now. I'm not talking about like, okay, Gennady Golovkin 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
At this
I'm talking about
day.
right now. Is Canelo better at a body puncher than Gennady Golovkin?
I would think so.
Yeah.
After the Triple G's last few performances, he didn't even throw body shots anymore.
Yeah.
In his performances against Canelo,
he couldn't.
there was a distinct lack of body shots. But in their prime, now that would be a question.
Oh yeah,
both in their prime.
Yeah, but Canelo is getting better. Like literally every single fight, you can tell that he's like. It's like almost you can. It's almost like you can like. It's like I don't even
you can see him maturing.
Kind of, yeah. It's kind of weird to see, but it's like you every single fight you see like wow he's getting really good.
Yeah, you can see noticeable improvements. His all-round game. You can see that he works on his weaknesses. He's not one of those fighters that just thinks, I'm good at this, so I'm just going to stick to doing this.
Yeah.
Especially you can see that when he goes into a fight, like the second fight against Triple G, you can see that he'd noticed what he needed to do in the first fight. So in the second fight, he was like, I'm going to take the center of the ring because Triple G doesn't like being backed up.
Right.
So you can see that, he's clever. He kind of sees what his opponent does and works them out like Floyd Mayweather would do.
Oh, yeah.
He goes in there, he kind of downloads information from what his opponent's going to do and then just that's his game plan.
I think we mentioned it before, but I think he learned a lot from Floyd.
Yeah.
Just in that loss.
Yeah.
Because like he even says, he was like, yeah, like that loss really got me. Like he even after the fight, he was emotional. Like you could see it in him in the ring, and his trainers, the Reynosos, were like, keep your head up, don't worry about it. Like, and he even says, he was like, yeah, that loss really got me because he got schooled. Like Mayweather schooled him.
I watched it back actually recently. It was on ESPN, I think, one day. I just was flicking through and I saw it was on. I was like, oh, I'll just sit and watch it. So looking back on it, he got schooled that day. Like,
he did.
Completely schooled.
He did.
But wasn't it a split decision?
It was.
It was a Canelo. It was a golden boy Canelo. Vegas.
But it was but it's kind of weird because it's just like, the Vegas was Mayweather's city essentially.
If you remember, going into that fight, everybody was like, "Oh, Canelo's going to blow him away. He's the up-and-coming thing. He's the phenom."
I mean, honestly, like there was a lot of intrigue.
Yeah.
I mean, Canelo was popular already. He was selling tickets. He was putting butts in seats. He was from Mexico, and then he was beating everybody. Like, and he was a young guy. So, yeah, it was intriguing. And they sold like 2.4 million pay-per-view buys. So, like, yeah, it was intriguing. Like, when I watched it, I was like, okay, Canelo might get something here. Like I still picked Floyd, but I thought Canelo was gonna, get some type of action. But no, man, like, and it's not like he didn't try. Like if you see him you actually watch the fight, he's like throwing blows and trying to catch him, and Mayweather's just slick enough just to dodge him. But if he gets hit with those, it's bad. But yeah. Mayweather's just an intelligent fighter. But
I was surprised Mayweather took it.
Oh yeah,
because
it was a catch weight. It was a catch weight, 152.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, Canelo's a fan of those, isn't he, as well?
Yeah.
If you look at his resume though, now he's fought Triple G twice. Obviously Mayweather, like we just touched on.
Cotto,
Miguel Cotto,
Lara,
Trout. Exactly.
I mean, he fought Kirkland and Smith, but he demolished them too.
Would you think he stays at 168?
He fought Mosley too when he was like 19.
That's right. Yeah,
when he was like 19. That was for WBC 154 title, I think too. I think it was.
You think he stays at 168?
No,
he goes back down.
Yeah.
What about the fighting Jacobs though?
He's gonna fight Jacobs
at 168.
No, he's gonna fight him at 160.
Oh,
he's gonna. Yeah, he's not gonna. No, Jacobs wants to be like undisputed middleweight champion. Even though you can tell I think Jacobs has a tough time making 160, but he doesn't really say it. But I think he does. I think he has a tough time making 160. But I think Jacobs is getting that fight in May.
Yeah, I mean he was in the arena. I mean it looked like at the time, obviously Lemieux was going to be the one that everyone was thinking was going to get the fight. But then Lemieux being Lemieux, he doesn't make weight.
Yeah, I mean we'll get into that right now. But I mean with Canelo, obviously stopping Rocky Fielding, poor Rocky Fielding. But I mean but do people honestly think like, yeah, I get it. Like, oh, people were saying, oh, Fielding, you sold your belt to Canelo. There's
been uproar on Twitter about that.
Yeah, but like even leading up to the fight, his promoter Eddie Hearn, like was criticizing that type of criticism from people, saying like he was just like, why are you guys gonna criticize this guy? He's fighting Canelo Alvarez. He's like the biggest star in the sport. He's like he's like, who would have thought like 6 months ago that, you know, Rocky Fielding was gonna get a fight with the biggest star in the sport in New York City in Madison Square Garden?
I think the thing for me is, I mean, obviously we're in the boxing media, kind of, I guess, and it was the smiling in between the fights.
Yeah,
not in between the knockdowns. Sorry,
it's like he knew. Yeah, he kept looking to his corner,
and he was smiling. I think if he was kind of like, he looked more upset that he kept getting dropped, because it was kind of odd. I'd never seen anybody do that. He kind of like looking at his corner and he was kind of laughing to himself, and I assume he probably thinking to himself like, "Dude, this guy is good."
No, I think
this guy's good.
I think that's exactly what it was. I don't think he was smiling. Like, I think he was smiling because he was just like, "Shit, like this guy's good." Like, of course he knew, like, okay, this guy's good. He's one of the best fighters in the world. I know what I'm getting into, but you know, you're training and you get involved in the whole spotlight, the media, the press, the interviews, and you kind of feel the hype, and you're just like, okay, you know, and then you start walking to the ring, 20,000 people in New York City, and you're just like, oh shit, like, because you can see when he was walking to the ring, like, yeah, he was in the zone, but you can kind of, if you really look at his face, that's when he really realized, like, okay, shit. And then when he first got hit with that body shot, I think when he first felt the power, that's when he was like, okay, shit, this is real. And that's why he kept looking to the corner and smiling. And then he's like, but he kept looking at the corner like, fuck, man, what did you guys get me into? Like,
yeah, it did seem a bit like that. Like, I think if he didn't smile and kind of laugh to himself, I think people would have been more, you know, oh, you know, poor Rocky, instead of like sort of turning around and kind of being kind of pissed at him that he kind of sold his belt.
I mean, I guess. I mean, you know, I wouldn't even call it a belt, man. It's a WBA with these alphabet titles, regular. Like the WBA super middleweight regular world title. Like, get what? A regular? Like, it's like, come on, man. Like,
well, it was the original until they brought out the super.
You got the diamond title, you got the super title, you got the regular title, you got the interim title, it's like, come on.
WBO super deluxe middleweight title.
It's just like, get out of here, man. Like, you know, supersized title. It's like, come on, man. Like, it's getting ridiculous now. Like,
the supersized title, that'd be what, Gerald Miller's?
Yeah, I think he'd be the go-to guy to fight for that belt for the first time.
Supersize me.
But that's why these fighters never want to unify, because they're like, man, I don't want to pay sanctioning fees for every single freaking fight. And it's true. I mean, people don't think about that. Like, oh yeah, you want to be the best, you need to unify. And I mean, I get it. Like, that shows, like, if you have all the titles, like, you're the best, undisputed. I understand that. There's a huge argument for that. Like, okay, that makes you show that you're the best. But, you know, it's a business now, and people look at it like, why? I don't need another title. Like, I'm not going to fight this guy to try to get his title because I don't want to pay the sanctioning fee. You know, it's
a lot of money.
It is what it is.
Cotto didn't. He dropped his title.
Yeah, he did with WBC.
Yep.
Yeah, they wanted to charge him $300,000 for his fight. There was a Canelo fight.
Yep.
They want to charge him $300,000 for the sanctioning fee, and he said nope. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not paying that. And it's like, holy crap. Like, but it is though. Like, you know, people don't think about that. Like, oh, you know, they should just pay it. It's a lot of money, especially when it's a high profile fight. It's a ton of money.
Yep. So,
I mean, think about it. What can you do with $300,000 like that? Like, shit.
It's a good time in Vegas right there.
Oh man, forget it. I can't even tell you what Cotto probably did with that money. But obviously, Jacobs went into the ring after Canelo went up to him, shook his hand. You know, they were cordial, and then
it was respectful.
Oh yeah, it was very respectful. And then, like, after the fight, they asked it. Like, they did some interviews, and Jacobs was just like, yeah, man. He's like, he was very good. You look very good. You know, hopefully we can get that fight in May, and let's put it together. You know, honestly, I think Jacobs is going to get that fight.
I think he will, because I think Jacobs, I don't know whether he still is, but, you know, he was a HBO guy, but he was an Eddie Hearn guy. So whether he's still going to be with Eddie and join him on DAZN, it's going to be easy to make.
I don't think Jacobs would have been at that show and went into the ring and done all these interviews and with Eddie Hearn right by his side if he wasn't going to fight on DAZN, or at least a one-off fight, with Canelo.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah. Like, I know they said, like, oh, well, technically, like, his deal with Matchroom is up and this, and that.
Why would they let him in the ring?
Like, you know, there was no reason for him to be there.
Yeah.
There was no reason for him to be there. So, like, you know, Eddie Hearn, he has a deal. He just, like, maybe it's a one-off deal. Like, look, like, you're going to get the Canelo fight, and then our deal's up, and if you want to stay, we'll renegotiate. Because I guarantee that's why he signed with Eddie Hearn in the first place. It was to try to get the Canelos and the Triple Gs. That's why he came over to HBO. So, I mean, you really think that he's going to go back to Showtime or anything like that when he's this close to a Canelo fight? Like, no way. I think it's going to be Jacobs Canelo T-Mobile Arena in Vegas in May 4th of 2019.
Yeah,
I agree. That makes the most sense.
Yeah,
and I think Triple G is probably going to fight. Triple G is going to fight Andrade in March. No, what Andrade fights. Andrade fights. Doesn't he fight soon, or he just fought?
No, he's making a title defense in I think it's February.
Oh, okay, that's right.
But it's against. I think it's just a little takeover fight. He fights January the 18th against Artur Akov.
That's if he gets out of jail.
Well, yeah, true. Yeah.
He did recently get picked up for like an illegal gun possession or something.
Yeah, having a weapon and no license to hold it.
Yeah, and then what was the alleged reason that he gave authorities, saying that he's like,
because he's famous,
because he's famous. So he's famous, so he needs to protect himself. And oh man, like when we put that out there on social media, all these people just, you know, the Twitterverse and the Instagramverse just went crazy. Like, oh, he's famous. So. I mean, you know, whatever. I guess it's a form of protection, but it's just like, come on, man. Like, you're a world boxing champion, and if you're driving, you get caught, and you don't have a permit for your gun, like, that's stupid as gonna make you look. But whatever, you know, people already forgot about it, and he's gonna keep going. But you know, I think Canelo Jacobs is in May in a T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Triple G fights BJ Saunders.
If you come up with an opponent as big,
because you did mention that we were talking about right before we went on air that BJ Saunders was supposed to come back in January, right? And then you mentioned that his fight probably got canceled or might have got canceled.
Well, he was supposed to come back this weekend.
This weekend, that's right.
It was supposed to be this weekend. His first opponent got cancelled, and then they ended up. They found him another opponent, so he's back on the card now against Charles Idamu, a little 8-rounder for Billy Joe, I suppose, just to knock off the cobwebs, just get back out there, kind of get himself relevant again. You can kind of see that he's even his social media, because of all the testing positive and all the stupid videos and stuff he's been making. Yeah. I've noticed recently he's been out there, like helping raise money.
Oh yeah,
giving presents to kids for Christmas.
Yeah.
And, he's
trying to change the image.
Yeah, he's trying to change the image because he kind of, really shot himself in the foot this last year. Obviously beat David Lemieux for the WBO title. Didn't fight in the whole of 2018. Had 2 fights against Martin Murray called off due to him and injury.
2 fights.
And then he was supposed to fight Andrade. Couldn't get a license. So 2018 has definitely been a year that Billy Joe needs to forget. So
I think honestly, like I could see, okay, if Canelo fights Jacobs in May, around the same time, maybe April, I could see Triple G BJ Saunders fight.
I mean,
I could see it.
That'd be a great fight. I mean, to me, his style gives Canelo and Triple G problems.
I could see it.
But that just depends on what weight Canelo stays at and how many fights Triple G wants to have. He's just had 2 big fights against Canelo.
Yeah.
I mean, most fighters come back and have a little takeover.
Well, that's why. Yeah. I mean, is Triple G going to get a showcase fight like Canelo did with Fielding? Or is
normally he would, but with his age,
I don't think he has time. He just has to jump into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's been out there. He's had plenty of fights. I don't know how many years really Triple G's got left in him. So. To me, that'd be a great fight, though. And it's definitely a fight I'd like to see.
I mean, we'll see. I don't know.
And where would it be? That's the thing, Is he going to be over here? Is he going to be on a big card over in the UK?
You know what? That's a good question. I could see Triple G going to the UK, but I could also see it seeing the fight being in New York.
And I think this will probably lie on where he lands, TV wise.
Triple G.
Yeah,
he has to come to DAZN. There's all the middleweights are at DAZN. All the world middleweight champions. Jacobs, and Andrade, BJ Saunders is there. Canelo, obviously. I mean, the Charlos are at Showtime, Fox, or wherever. But if he goes to with like Fox or Showtime, okay, well, if he fights the Charlos brothers, like, okay, who else does he have?
Yeah. The thing about Triple G as well is he's gone through a lot of people in that division. Does he want to go over old ground as well? That's the thing, unless he comes up with some of the new up-and-coming guys like the Charlos. And then, below that, you got Derevyanchenko.
That's true.
Jacobs has already beaten him. Does he fight Lemieux? The guy's probably going to have to move up weight like we've been saying for the last few years. I think is that the third time or fourth time he's missed weight now?
Yeah. I mean, like you mentioned, like Lemieux was supposed to be on the Canelo Fielding card, but he had weight issues. He was dehydrated the day of the weigh-ins and everything, so they just scrapped his fight. And I think that was third time.
I think it's the third time. At least the third time he's missed weight.
He's had issues to making 160. He's done at 160. He's done.
He said, I think 2 fights ago when he missed weight, that I'm going to move up.
Yeah.
But he didn't, because the fights were there, the money fights were there.
Oh yeah, I mean, you don't think like Golden Boy told him like, hey, just be disciplined. Like we can make a Canelo fight and it's all in house. I get it. It's a business move. Like, to put him against Lemieux. Lemieux is dangerous, regardless if like Triple G's beat him and BJ Saunders beat him. Like Lemieux is dangerous. He's got power. He's got mean power. So there's a threat there.
Ask Spike O'Sullivan.
Yeah, ridiculous. And I don't know how Spike O'Sullivan did. Like, he just seemed so underprepared. Like, and you thought he would have been, but whatever. But yeah, Lemieux. Like, I think he was kind of advised, like, oh, just stay at 160. Like, we can make this fight. You're gonna get a big payday. And he was like, all right, well, let's see what's up. But no, there's no way. There's no way. If he comes back and he's at 160, I'm like, come on, man. Like, you got to move up. You got to move up. But I mean, they're going to have to make cross-promotional fights at 168, and I don't know. Yeah, he needs to move up. He needs to move up because now it's like a thing about his health. Because if he keeps doing it, it's gonna mess him up. I think
he was hospitalized, wasn't he?
I think that's what they said.
On the day of the weigh-ins due to dehydration, trying to make weight.
Yeah. So I mean, hopefully he's all right. We'll go from there. But Canelo defeats Rocky Fielding. Technical knockout stoppage in round 3 from Madison Square Garden. And then co-main event of that fight was actually supposed to be Lemieux, but since he was scrapped from that, Tevin Farmer was elevated against Francisco Fonseca for the IBF World Super Featherweight title. Tevin Farmer gets a unanimous decision, improves to 28-4-1. What's the common denominator here against Fonseca? Gervonta Davis also fought him. Now Tevin Farmer also fought him. Are they trying to make it parallel here? Because they have been talking smack to each other for quite a while now. Him and Farmer and Davis.
Yeah, obviously Davis got Fonseca out of there, which Farmer didn't do. So Gervonta Davis was straight on social media telling him how unimpressed he was with him, and
yeah, I saw that.
So to me, Tevin Farmer seems to have all the skills in the world. He's definitely a slick boxer.
Yeah,
but he doesn't have that knockout punch to get people out of there. I thought it was a good performance. He kind of made, he makes hard work of some fights due to his lack of power.
Yeah.
He looked quick-handed. He was taller. Has good combinations, works inside, throughout the fight. He's very skillful, but
right.
I think he's just lacking that little bit of power to get people out of there, which is what the fans want to see. I don't think, if he's the champion for a long time, not many people are going to want to show up and see him go 12 rounds again,
right,
and again and again.
Right.
So I think, against some people with more of a granite chin than, James Tennyson, who we fought the time before, he's going to struggle to get them out of there. It looks like Tevin Farmer might be fighting John O'Carroll, who was on the card recently, who got that draw, where him and Farmer were going back and forth.
That's right.
I think Eddie Hearn's probably going to stick, Farmer in there with someone like John O'Carroll, because he may be able to get John O'Carroll out of there, which is going to look a little bit better, because obviously I think, the one in Davis to keep winning, Farmer to keep winning, so those two can keep going back and forth on social media and, build up to a big payday for both of them.
Yeah.
So I think, he's going to pick some more cannon fodder for Farmer to hopefully blow out. Get
that makes sense. Hearn's trying to keep him and Davis parallel.
It seems like it, yeah.
So it makes sense. And then moving on, another female fight. Like I said, every major card now seems to have one female fight, so they're elevating it, which is great. Katie Taylor gets a unanimous decision against Ava Wallstrom. Katie Taylor improves to 12-0. This was for the IBF and WBA lightweight title. Eddie Hearn's trying to, make Katie Taylor a pretty big name in the female boxing side of things.
Yeah, and a lot of the fights seem to be over here. It seems to be they're definitely trying to promote her over in the US.
Yeah.
Most cards over here, she seems to make an appearance. She seems to have had quite a few fights this year. It was a good fight, actually. Eva Wallstrom was an unbeaten female who actually had quite a lot of fights. I don't think she's had about 3 times as many fights as Katie Taylor.
Yeah.
But Katie Taylor has that Olympic pedigree.
Yeah.
She's another one. Every time I see her, she seems to be getting better and better. In my opinion, I think she's probably the best female fighter, even though she's only had, a limited number of fights.
Right.
But yet again, it's another one where I think they should go to 3-minute rounds, the same as I said earlier.
They're all 2-minute rounds.
Yeah, it seems to be the rounds that are over really quickly. At the start of the round, they kind of feel each other out, and then by the time the action starts to kick in, it's the end of the round.
We have to try to get like a sports physician on here to talk about their opinion from a medical standpoint in terms of 2-minute rounds. Is a female biology is it different? Like, is that why it's 2 minutes? Put that
WBC
that
theory.
WBC theory to the test and see what's up. I mean, it could be true. We don't know.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'd need to see if I could reach out to somebody. And,
maybe
get somebody in here.
Maybe we can get somebody that, or even like trainers, and just kind of try to get the inside scoop, or get the consensus opinion. That'd be interesting.
Because in the UFC, like we touched on before, it's the same.
Yeah,
they don't.
And they're kicking you. They're elbows. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah. And then moving on, Saddam Ali gets a unanimous decision in 10 rounds against Mauricio Herrera. Local boy Mauricio Herrera. They're both Golden Boy fighters. They put them against each other. They both have decent names. But, I mean, Ali is still a young guy. I think he's like 28, 29. But, like, if you can't stop somebody like Mauricio Herrera at this point in his career, like, how are you going to survive against the prime welterweights? Or no, he's at one. Did they fight at 147 or 154?
Yeah, he moved back down. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. So Ali still has like a lot left at the tank to get some decent fights, but if you can't stop Mauricio Herrera,
he's not been stopped that many times though.
That's true. But I mean,
Herrera to do him, to kind of go to bat for him. He's been in there with some good fighters. I don't know. I'm trying to think now. I'll just have a look at his record. Has he ever actually been KO'd? No.
He hasn't, no.
24 wins, 8 losses, never been KO'd.
I'll take that back. So
I've got your back, Mauricio.
That was a hard one. Yeah. I mean, I just looked at it more like Herrera's like careers. It's been a while, and obviously his peak was when he fought Danny Garcia. Even though he technically lost on the cards, a lot of people felt that he won, and that was like one of his best performances. So, it is what it is. But Ali gets that win. I'm sure they're going to try to put Ali on. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to put him on the Canelo Cinco de Mayo card, against somebody decently prominent.
Well, they owe him a fight after throwing him to the wolves against Munguia.
Yeah, man.
They owe him a nice little payday.
Yeah, they give him Cotto. He gets that big win over legendary Cotto, and he gets the world title 154, and then they throw him to Munguia. It's like, oh man, like you didn't even let him enjoy it.
No, exactly. Yeah, didn't even get that. Normally you win the title, you get at least one little gimme.
Yeah,
a little fight. You go home to your home crowd.
But he was supposed to fight Liam Smith.
Yeah, exactly.
So
he was the mandatory.
So technically, like it wasn't that they threw him to Munguia right away. Like he was going to fight Liam Smith, and that would have been. I mean, I would have favored Smith in that, but that would have been a more competitive fight for him to win. For Ali to win.
That's true.
But, Smith, for one reason or another, had to get out of the fight.
Illness, wasn't it?
It was illness?
Yeah, he had some kind of rash or something like that.
And then they replace it with freaking Munguia, and Munguia just demolishes the kid.
Monster.
So I mean, whatever. I guess it was I guess it was a blessing in disguise for Munguia, because look how many times he's defended the title since he got it already.
Yeah, he's been busy.
Like 5-6 times already this year. So, it's worked out for him. And then my favorite fighter and yours, Ryan Garcia, up from here in Victorville, California, not too far from here, gets the KO in 5 rounds against the very animated Braulio Rodriguez. That guy was just like, I know some people like it on Twitter and everything. They were pretty pissed off. Like, what's this guy's problem? Like, he's disrespecting the sport, just being an idiot and stuff like that.
Kind of a nutcase, wasn't he?
It's kind of a nutcase, but honestly, I thought it was kind of funny.
It was good because it made it entertaining for people watching.
It made it entertaining. So, whatever. I was cool with it. Like, if that was like a main event, like a Canelo and then like, come on, man. Like, but it was, they're.
I think he was just trying to, do like the old man's gamesmanship, because, Ryan Garcia is young.
Yeah, he was trying to get in his head.
Yeah, he was trying to play with
that
him.
guy's like 30 and Garcia's like 19, 20 years old. So, but touching on Garcia's performance, I was very impressed that he was very patient.
Yeah, he looked a lot more patient.
He looked a lot more patient.
I've been, one of his, not a hater as such, but, I've been somebody that was been kind of, I wanted to see a lot more.
You're one of many. There's a lot of people out there like
because
that.
I wasn't somebody that was just going to jump on this Ryan Garcia train,
Yeah.
And everybody was kind of singing his praises. He's going to be the next big thing.
I don't even think he's close to that yet.
No, but
he's got the X factor because he could sell tickets and he's got a lot of fans and he's obviously getting noticed, which is great. Marketing. Yeah. That's great. And if you can fight and keep winning, of course, then you got the full package. So, I mean, you don't think Goldemore realizes, like, look, like this kid, he's got the marketability and it's working, but we need to improve his skills. That's why they put him with Reynoso, So obviously Reynoso made a difference because he was obviously more patient. He took his time and stuff like that. Even when he got some good shots and he wasn't really like pouncing on him, he kind of took his time and everything. So
yeah, he looked better.
He did look better. He did look better. So
he wasn't because before he used to load up.
Yeah,
looked like he was loading up on every shot.
Yeah,
like he kind of just
he would load up in every shot and stand in one spot and then throw all the punches.
Yeah, now it looked like he was a lot more patient. And he's very quick. So to me, if I was his coach, you'd want to be looking at. He just wanted to try and counter people,
right?
Because his reflexes, he's really, really quick. He's got lightning reflexes.
But
so it looked like that's kind of what they went down that kind of trajectory.
Yeah, but I mean, like whatever. It is what it is. But like, I still don't think he's nowhere near ready for anybody between. Because he said he's moving up to 135 now. He was like, he can't make 130 anymore, so he's moving to 135. Who's at 135? Lomachenko, Mikey, Robert Easter, Linares can still make 135. But he's nowhere near. And Golden Boy knows this. I know he's 17-0 right now, and there's a lot of fighters out there like who by that time they already had world titles or they were fighting in big competitive fights. But he's still nowhere near that. He's not. I think. If he's going to get a big fight like that, he has to wait until at least like maybe his 21st fight.
I'm thinking longer than that. I think you just mentioned, I think he needs to wait for them to leave the division.
No, yeah, it could be longer than that. And honestly, it could be longer than that. But I'm just saying, like, in terms of like, he's nowhere near those guys right now. And eventually, like, I mean, how long can they get away from not putting him against, big competition? Like, because honestly, like, yeah, he improved on Saturday, and obviously he made the improvements and he looked better than he did, but there are still holes in his game. And if he fights guys like a Gervonta Davis, obviously a Lomachenko, a Mikey, a Linares, and those guys, they're going to eat him alive.
Yeah, because
they're going to eat him alive. So
I totally agree. I think, there's a big step up, and the thing is, because they keep pushing him out there, he's quite high up in the rankings. Yeah. So at some point, he's got to fight people in and around his ranking position. Because looking on BoxRec, they've got him at 16. Yeah. So just above him, you should be the type of people you'd expect him to be fighting. Obviously, to move further up, you've got Rene Alvarado, Robertson Castellano, Jason Sosa, Scott Quigg.
Robertson Castellano would beat, I think would beat him.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like those guys, they might not beat like the Linareses, the Mikeys, and Lomas, but they're still good, like better than Ryan Garcia is. Like they'll beat him.
Yeah, the seasoned professionals, and the thing that to me that he kind of lacks is his footwork.
Yeah.
Like you were just saying, he kind of like wants to plant his feet and throw.
Yeah.
And that's something that, somebody with the experience of like.
And it's kind of ironic because like he was like a 15-time national champion. He had a pretty decent amateur record. He had a lot of amateur fights, but it doesn't seem like it's really translating too well into the pro arena. But hopefully with Reynoso, obviously it looks like he's made some improvements. Hopefully it keeps going. I mean, that's the whole goal, right? That's what Golden Boy wants. That's what they probably told him. Like, hey man, you got to go. We're gonna go put you with Canelo's trainer. Like there's money there, so they're like obviously they want to keep that train going.
Due to his popularity, though, he's like 16 on BoxRec. He's above Andy Vences, Shakur Stevenson.
Oh, wow.
Eric De Leon.
We should reach out to them and see what they think about that.
Yeah, exactly. Even Christopher Diaz.
Oh, man. But, moving on. Not only touching on this, not only did Lemieux's fight get called off because of his weight, Golden Boy, one of up-and-coming prospects, Virgil Ortiz Jr., his fight was also called off because of LASIK eye surgery. There was some controversy with the New York State Athletic Commission's rules prior to the fight, that he failed to meet their eye exam minimum for a license in the state. So, that's just a little quick tidbit that he was supposed to fight on the card. I was excited to see him, but obviously it didn't work out. But I'm sure they're going to put him back on a card soon, probably in California. In the next maybe month or two, they'll get him back out there, maybe Fantasy Springs or something like that. And moving on to this Saturday, December 22nd from the Barclays Center in New York on Fox, the first fight on Fox for Premier Boxing Champions. The Charlo brothers are back. Jermell Charlo, 31-0, goes up against Tony Harrison for the WBC Super Welterweight title. That should be kind of decent. Harrison's got a decent record, but obviously, this is a showcase fight in a sense for Charlo. And then his brother Jamal, who fights at 160, 27-0, was supposed to fight Willie Monroe Jr., right?
Yep.
But Monroe got popped for what? What exactly did he get popped
Supposedly
for?
A test booster.
Yeah. So some crap by that.
Yeah, he's saying it's a test booster more than actual steroids. So.
Yeah, so he got popped, so he got removed. Matt Korobov, or is it Korobov?
Korobov, I think you were right the first time.
Yeah.
It should actually be a more exciting fight.
That's what I heard.
Because Willie Monroe Jr. kind of stunk the place out when he fought Billy Joe Saunders.
Yeah, that's true.
Matt Korobov is more of a knockout.
And he got elevated too because he was on the card, but he was on.
He was on the undercard. Yeah,
and then they offered him the gig, and he's like, He jumped at it. And this is for the interim WBC middleweight title, which I don't understand why Canelo has the. I mean, I get it. He fought 168 at interim. Whatever.
Sanctioning fees, Danny. Sanctioning fees.
Yeah, like you can fight for the interim title.
Yeah,
but you have to pay us.
You have to pay us. Yeah,
like get out of here. Like I'm the interim champion. But and also on that card, heavyweight action. Dominic Brazil, who the only loss he's ever had was against Wilder, 19-1. First facing off against Carlos Negron, who's 20-1. That actually seems like a pretty interesting fight. Heavyweights, they both have actually almost identical records.
Yeah, and kind of a tick-over fight because Breezel's been the mandatory for Deontay Wilder for the last 2 years, it seems.
Yeah, but
for some reason they just never make Wilder face him.
I mean, wait, didn't he face? Who did he have that one loss to?
I think his loss is to.
I thought it was to Wilder.
No, because they have never fought. I think his only loss is to Joshua.
Oh, it was Joshua. That's right.
You're thinking of when they had the argument in the hotel?
That's what it was. Yeah, they did have the argument in the hotel, but then he went across the pond to fight Joshua, and he lost to Joshua.
Yeah, in 2016.
That's what it was. I don't know why I thought he fought Wilder.
Because he should have done since he's been mandatory for the last 2 years.
His name's been around Wilder because he's been the mandatory for so long. You just automatically after a while you just convince yourself that, oh yeah, he fought him. But and then also on the 22nd from the Manchester Arena in Manchester on ESPN Plus, Carl Frampton, 26-1, faces off against Josh Warrington for the IBF featherweight title. I'm actually excited for that. That's the fight I'm looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah, it should be a good fight. one that we've been kind of waiting for since Warrington won it. Everyone kind of expected him to, take an easy fight back home in Leeds, sell out a stadium. But, straight away he said he wanted Carl Frampton. He just wants the big fights. Warrington's been one of those fighters that really everyone was kind of, when he hit the scene was kind of like, oh, he's British level. He went out there, won a British title. Oh, he's European level.
Yeah.
Kept on stepping up. And every time everyone was kind of like, I think this is going to be his level. I don't think he's world level.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. Personally, I think it's a step too far. I think Carl Frampton is going to. I actually think Carl Frampton is going to stop him.
You think so?
Yeah, I think Carl Frampton, since he's changed trainers and gone to Jamie Moore, that stable have all done really well. Jamie Moore seems to be able to, pick out good game plans. Frampton, before, when he was with the McGuigans, he was kind of more talking about, I've got a few more fights and I'm going to retire. He seems a lot more positive in the interviews now, and he's not really talking about retirement. He's just kind of more talking about his next fight, and I want to fight Leo Santa Cruz, Gary Russell Jr., which to me seems a lot more positive. It's a more positive outlook. He's not already thinking like, oh, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 fights, and then I'm done.
I can see if Frampton wins, I can see him fighting Santa Cruz again for a third time. I went to see Leo Santa Cruz in camp recently, and he was saying that was a fight he wanted. Yeah.
He wanted the third fight.
I could see that totally happening.
Because both of them really kind of coming towards the end of their career. We don't know how long, but, they've reached the peak. Going to probably slide it slowly back down.
Yeah.
And that would be a huge payday. They've got one each.
The grudge match.
Why not do it again?
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly think that's going to happen again in 2019. But the first two were exciting. Like they went at it. So, and I thought it was cool. I like Frampton. I like Santa Cruz. So, I wouldn't mind a third fight between both of those guys. And then Tommy Fury, Tyson Fury's cousin, makes his debut fight at light heavyweight. Who's his opponent? Do we know his opponent?
I imagine it's just going to be some Hungarian journeyman.
Yeah, some showcase.
It's going to be something for him.
The Furies, man, they're coming out of the woodwork. They're all coming out.
It's funny because obviously he's Tyson Fury's cousin. Is also trained by Ricky Hatton.
Ricky Hatton's all over that Fury family right now. He's just partying it up with them and everything. So he was at the Wilder Fury, but I liked Ricky Hatton. But when he was there, his fans following him, and that was ridiculously crazy.
Tommy Fury's he's fighting a Latvian. I won't even attempt to say his name.
Just call him the Latvian.
He's fighting the Latvian. The Latvian has had 115 fights, 102 losses.
What?
So he knows how to lose.
Okay, he's one of those professional losers.
Professional loser. He's only been stopped 37 times.
I hope they introduce him like that, the Latvian.
The Latvian. So
the Latvian.
It'll be interesting to see how good or how bad Tommy Fury is. He's only had a limited amateur experience. Actually, only had 12 amateur fights.
Yeah.
So is he just trying to jump on the back of
his brother or his cousin?
His cousin Tyson, and make a living that way.
I mean, you never know. Like it could be, and then they're going to see maybe they can catch lightning in a bottle. Like, oh, well, let's see if it works.
Yeah, exactly. If he goes on to really achieve like kind of half of what Tyson's achieved, that would be pretty good. Tyson's out there undefeated still. Really should be a second-time world heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
So, even if Tommy Fury could get up to something like British level, he's done pretty well. It's not often you find, relations who are. Look at the Klitschko's. It's unusual to have two brothers like that who want to be world champions.
That's insane. So they were champions for years too. So, and then our favorite animated character in boxing, Billy Joe Saunders, is back after the controversy for losing his middleweight world title, and then Andrade gets the title after he fights another guy. Billy Joe Saunders is back. After not being licensed in, was it Connecticut? He was supposed to fight in Connecticut, or when he was supposed to fight Andrade?
Yeah, but was it Massachusetts?
Massachusetts. So he's back on the card, and he's back fighting Zoltan.
No, it's
they switched it.
Charles.
They switched it. That's right. They switched it.
Changed it.
They switched it. So obviously, this is just kind of like a comeback fight to kind of put him back out there to make sure he's still there. He's gonna get this fight, and then he's gonna try to get a big fight. And like I mentioned to you before, I think If Canelo fights Jacobs, it's going to be BJ Saunders and Triple G around the same time frame, maybe April.
You heard it here first, guys.
I'm telling you, that's the only thing that makes sense. I mean, unless they try to put BJ Saunders against Andrade so he can take that title. I mean, because honestly, Eddie Hearn, he promotes BJ Saunders, right?
No, Frank Warren.
Frank Warren does.
Frank Warren and Tyson Fury are all Frank Warren.
That's right. I mean, because if you think about it, in terms of marketability, who's more marketable with the world title, BJ Saunders or Andrade?
You know, it's kind of like a long shot, but Rob Brandt got the WBA.
Oh, that's right.
So that's another one.
He beat Murata.
Yes, that would be an interesting fight. That's another fight for someone like Billy Joe Saunders if he doesn't want to go.
I can see that. That's right. That's a dark horse. I totally forgot about that.
But he really should be the mandatory for the WBO.
Yeah.
Since there was that dilemma of if the fight was in England, that substance was allowed up until fight day.
Honestly, I could see that happening again. He gets this fight, and he fights Andrade sometime next year.
He beats Andrade, in my opinion.
Yeah, he does.
I think he beats Boo. I don't
think. So that's, you heard it here first. And then finally, from the O2 Arena in London on DAZN, Dillian Whyte, for the second time, faces off against Derek Chisora. Do we want to see this again?
It was a good heavyweight fight the first time.
I mean, it was, but like, are they just keeping Whyte busy because they're trying to save him for Joshua?
Really, the question is Whyte silly to take it? Because he probably could have just sat down and waited until April because, everybody was kind of thinking that Eddie Hearn was going to keep that money in-house and it was going to be Whyte Joshua, April the 13th. Because
it still might.
Yeah.
It still might.
But, so was he really silly to accept the fight against Chisora, which a lot of people said he actually lost the first time.
That's true.
But he got it because he was kind of the bigger name.
Yeah.
He was the one that Eddie Hearn was pushing out there.
But I think he handily beats Chisora this time.
I do. I think he has improved a lot since the first fight.
Yeah.
He's got himself in shape.
They need to put big baby Miller in there somewhere, man.
He's flown over. He's there.
Oh, okay.
He's going to the fight.
He's going to be right there.
He's going to the fight.
Put big baby Miller against Dillian Whyte.
So I imagine, knowing him, he's going to cause some kind of commotion.
And then the winner fights James the Beast Wilson.
Did you hear? Actually, talking about James the Beast Wilson, we'll give him a little shout out. His first fight is going to be in Houston on the undercard of Jaime Munguia.
All right.
January the 26th, Houston, Texas, at the Toyota Center. He's going to be that's going to be his first fight for Golden Boy.
James the Beast Wilson, congratulations on your official fight date on the Munguia card, a world championship card right there. So hey,
at the minute he's fighting the infamous TBA.
Oh, TBA is undefeated too. He's got to watch out for that.
There you go.
You never bet against TBA. Just like they said when Mayweather was fighting, he always said you never bet against money. You never bet against TBA either. So. Yeah.
Going back to Whyte, I think Whyte stops Chisora. I think it'll be an all-out war because they really are just two warriors. They generally don't like each other. For people that saw the first, was it behind the gloves, and then the second behind the gloves, where they were throwing tables at each other.
Yeah, stupid.
Throwing water at each other, all that kind of
stupid.
Craziness.
Yeah.
But I think he stops him in the late rounds. I think.
Yeah. I say 11th.
I can't go 11th then. I'll go 10th then.
I say 11th. But does he get the Joshua fight if he wins in April? I think he does. I don't think Wilder Fury.
See, I thought he was going to because I didn't think they wanted it. But now I don't know whether Fury schooling Wilder has made Joshua and Eddie Hearn think like, hey, you know what? Eddie Hearn, Tyson Fury's the real deal.
Yeah.
And if Joshua fights him, he's going to get schooled. So are they going to try and get the Wilder fight now
to try to get capitalize on that
before Fury gets it? Because
it's going to be harder to get it if he's Tom Fury.
Because he's a skilled boxer.
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah,
and Joshua's very robotic. Whereas Joshua Wilder, he may be able to take Wilder.
I could see it.
So I don't know whether they're going to be like.
But if Wilder goes up London and fights Joshua,
he'll be a two-fighter.
He can be a two-fighter.
That's what Eddie Hearn said.
Joshua's going to come to Vegas in the second fight.
Yeah, which then leaves Tyson Fury on the shelf for a year.
Yeah. exactly.
So do you think they're going to do that and just try and...
Fury's going to have to fight Brazil or something, like Dillian Whyte, Big Baby Miller.
So that's interesting.
Or James the Beast Wilson.
Because, exactly. Friend of the show. We're shouting you out, James.
Yeah, he's there, man. He's there. So, I mean, we got a pretty interesting time coming up, and especially in the heavyweight division. I'm excited for the heavyweight division. It's been great the last couple of years, and it's only getting better. So, we got
to have it back. Boxing's bigger when the heavyweight division is around.
Yeah, when it's there, then that's when people start noticing.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's why all these broadcast networks start jumping on the box and all that stuff. So it's great. It's great for the sport. But episode 14 of The Last Round, we appreciate you guys listening in. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Audio Boom, Castbox, all your favorite podcasting apps. We're all there. Whether you're listening to us on your car ride home from work, to school, wherever you're going, or you're just sitting there, laying there, you're on the toilet listening to us, we appreciate it. We appreciated it. Follow us at The Last Round 12 on social media. That's, again, The Last Round and the number 12. Tweet us, DM us, comment on our stuff. Let us know who you want to see on the show, what you want us to talk about. We're going to get some shirts out coming soon in 2019. So look out for that. If you want to support the show, we're going to come out with some pretty cool shirts. We're actually have a design team right now working on it. So hopefully...
They said the design should be done this week.
So hopefully we get finalization soon, and they'll be coming sometime in 2019. So be on the lookout for that. And then, like I said, this is, let's see what we got coming up in 2019. So we have one more show after this for the year?
Next week's going to be the review. 2018 year review, fighter of the year, KO of the year.
Okay, that's right.
Trainer of the year.
That's right. So be on the lookout for our year-end awards, what The Last Round thinks on all those categories. And then, Mike, you want the last word?
Like Danny said, if you get 2 minutes out of your day over this Christmas period, just log on to Apple Podcasts, give us a quick review, tell us what you think. If there's anything that you want us to look at in 2019, any guests you'd like, anything you think we could do better as a show, anything you dislike, you want us to change, obviously don't be scared to hit us up via Twitter or Instagram. We're always learning as a team, so just let us know what you like.
Let us know what you like. This is The Last Round.
Thanks for supporting and listening to the show. Follow us at The Last Round 12 on social media. Rate, review, and subscribe. This